Hey guys, today I will be discussing about trichuriasis. Trichuriasis is also known as whipworm infection. Before starting trichuriasis, we will quickly go through a case report. A 5-year-old female child hailing from an urban slum visited the pediatric outpatient department presenting with complaints of rectal bleeding and fatigue of 1 year duration. On general physical examination, the remarkable findings were that of marked pallor. Peripheral smear showed microcytic hypochromic blood picture suggestive of iron deficiency anemia with leukocytes and eosinophilia. Stool was positive for presence of occult blood. Stool microscopy with saline preparation revealed bile stained barrel shaped eggs with mucus plugs on either end. You will be able to answer all these questions at the end of the video. Let's begin. I will be discussing about trichuriasis under following headings. First, I will discuss the causative organism, followed by morphology, life cycle, clinical features, laboratory diagnosis, treatment, and finally the prevention. Let's start with causative organism, followed by morphology of causative organism. Trichuriasis is caused by Trichuris trichura. Trichuriasis is caused by Trichuris trichura. Trichuris trichura is also known as whipworm. Trichuris trichura is also known as whipworm. Trichuris trichura is a nematode and it exists in 3 morphological forms: adult worm, egg, and larva. These are the 3 morphological forms of Trichuris trichura. Larva has 4 stages: L1, L2, L3 and L4. These are the 4 stages of larva: L1, L2, L3 and L4. Egg is barrel shaped and it has mucus plugs at both the ends. Egg is barrel shaped and it has mucus plug at both the ends, and egg is bile stained. Eggs of Trichus trichura are bile stained. Adult worm resembles handle of whip. So Trichuris trichura is also known as whipworm because adult worm resembles handle of whip. We are done with morphology. Next I will discuss the life cycle of Trichuris trichura. Infective form is embryonated egg carrying L2 larva. Infective form is embryonated egg carrying L2 larva, and person gets infected by ingestion of food and water that is contaminated with embryonated egg. Person gets infected by ingestion of food and water that is contaminated with embryonated egg. Humans are the only host of trichura. Humans are the only host of trichura. Humans get infected by ingestion of food and water that is contaminated with embryonated eggs. Humans get infected by ingestion of food and water that is contaminated with embryonated eggs. Following ingestion, eggs reach small intestine where they hatch out to release L2 larva. Following ingestion, eggs hatch out to release L2 larva. Eggs hatch out in small intestine. In large intestine, L2 larva undergoes molting. In large intestine, L2 larva undergoes molting twice to develop into adult worm. In large intestine, L2 larva undergoes molting twice to develop into adult worm. Sorry guys. Following fertilization, female worm lays eggs which are passed in fecus. Following fertilization, female worm lays eggs which are passed in fecus. In soil, egg undergoes molting twice. In soil, egg undergoes molting twice to develop into embryonated egg. In soil, egg undergoes molting twice to develop into embryonated egg, and embryonated egg carries L2 larva, and this embryonated egg is infective to human beings. We are done with life cycle. I will quickly summarize it. Humans get infected by ingestion of food and water that is contaminated with embryonated eggs. Embryonated eggs carry L2 larva. Following ingestion, egg hatches out to release L2 larva. Egg hatches out in small intestine. In large intestine, L2 larva undergoes molting twice to develop into adult worm. Following fertilization, female worm lays eggs which are passed in fecus. In soil, egg undergoes molting twice to develop into embryonated egg, and this embryonated egg carries L2 larva, and this embryonated egg is infective to the man. We are done with life cycle. Next I will discuss the clinical features. Incubation period is 60 to 90 days. Incubation period is 60 to 90 days, and majority of cases are asymptomatic. Majority of people who are infected with trichura are asymptomatic. Mild infection causes epigastric pain, nausea, vomiting, distension, flatulence, anorexia and weight loss. Mild infection causes epigastric pain, nausea, vomiting, distension, flatulence, anorexia and weight loss. Moderate infections causes growth deficit and iron deficiency anemia. Moderate infections causes growth deficit and iron deficiency anemia because adult worms will rob the nutrition from the host. Parasitic load is higher in moderate infections and severe infection when compared to mild infection. So, growth deficit and iron deficiency anemia occurs in moderate infections. Severe infection causes chronic diarrhea and dysentery, which results in dehydration. Severe infection also causes rectal prolapse, colonic obstruction. Chronic infection causes chronic diarrhea and dysentery, dehydration, rectal prolapse and colonic obstruction. We are done with clinical features. Next I will discuss the lab diagnosis. Sample collected for lab diagnosis is stool. Stool is the sample collected for lab diagnosis. Stool examination is done by direct wet mount. Stool examination is done by direct wet mount, and direct wet mount demonstrates characteristic egg and occasionally adult worms. Stool examination by direct mount demonstrates characteristic egg and occasionally adult worm. As you all know that egg is barrel shaped and it has mucus plugs at both the end. I have discussed the features of egg in morphology. Stool examination is done by direct wet mount, and direct wet mount demonstrates characteristic egg. Egg is barrel shaped and it has mucus plugs at both the ends, and stool examination by direct wet mount occasionally demonstrates adult worm. Peripheral eosinophilia and increased serum IgE levels are non-specific findings. Peripheral eosinophilia and increased serum IgE level are non-specific findings. We are done with laboratory diagnosis. Next, I will discuss the treatment.